Coffee. Once again, it's the Peruvian blend and it's the Swiss water process decaffeination thing, but it makes it good. I've been without the caffeine for a little while and I haven't really felt the difference, except maybe feeling better. But that's not a slam against caffeine. If you like the caffeine, I say go for it. But I've drank so much caffeine over the years that just wanted to take a break from it. Anyway, hi. Oh, by the way, this is Chris from Café Sola. Café Sola. And in the cup today, which cup is it? Let's see, it's the Washington, D.C. cup today. This was a gift from one of my stepdaughters, and it's one of my favorite mugs. So, anyway, so what did I want to talk to you about today? Well, I didn't really want to talk to you today. You're all saying, great, thanks for not talking to us. No, really. What I wanted to do was just introduce a video, or some audio rather. Today we're just going to play some audio of a Bible study class that I attended on August 31st? Yeah, let's say August 31st. That would be pretty good. No, wait, today's Monday. It was September 1st. That's when it was. So, there you have it. Anyway, there was a seminarian visiting, and his name was Kendall Davis, and I asked him, and he gave me permission to record his audio and to put it on the Café Sola podcast. So, that's what you're going to hear today. What he's going to basically talk to us about, well, I guess not basically, because it's what he's going to talk to us about, is the benediction. At the end of every divine service, what do you hear? May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you, right? May the Lord lift up his countenance, what the heck is that, upon you, and give you peace. And he's going to break that down. He's going to break down bless and keep and make his face shine and be gracious and countenance and lift up his face and give peace. He's going to break all those things down for you in this class. And then he's going to talk about how this fits into the divine service. And that's going to be a really good to hear. So stay tuned for that. It's not too far into the class. Then after that and some class discussion, he's going to talk to us about what is a blessing. What is a blessing? Is it just when the pastor says words to you? Or is it something that you can do? And he's going to talk to us about that. And then he's going to take us into a little bit of Old Testament, which will tie to the New Testament. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. This is Chris from Café Sola, and here is the audio recorded of seminarian, soon to be going to Cambridge for a year, and then back to finish his classes at the seminary. Seminarian Kendall Davis talking about the benediction. Here we go.
All right. I'm Kendall Davis. I've been a member here at Zion for about 10 years. You may or may not recognize me because I've been in school for the past many years. So it's great to be back. Wow. Now that I've finished my vicarage, we'll be talking about the benediction. So I've got here the text of the benediction right here in front of you. In case you didn't know, the benediction is literally quoted from Numbers chapter 6. We'll be looking at that in context in just a second. But I've laid it out here for you at the top of the handout, just so you can see the structure of it. And so it's basically 3 lines, and then each line has 2 parts. So there's 6 things in total that we're asking that the Lord would do. So the Lord bless you and keep you, and make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. Lord lift his countenance upon you and give you peace. 6 different things kind of all parallel together. Just want you to see that structure. It's going to help us make sense of what's going on. So we'll look at the text of the benediction in Numbers, in context, and we'll talk about its place in divine service and the liturgy, and the significance of that. So let's open up our Bibles. Numbers chapter 6, we'll start at verse 22. Numbers chapter 6, verse 22. And before we get started, we'll get a little bit of context. I had a professor at St. Louis, whenever we look at a Bible passage, he'd stop and give us a bit of context. But he always start by saying, all right, so we need some context. So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth, and then he would go through the entire biblical story up to the passage. I'm not going to do that for y'all. But does anybody remember kind of what's going on at this point in the Old Testament? I know Numbers is probably my favorite book. So at this point, Moses has led the people of Israel out of Egypt. That happened in Exodus, his name, Exodus. So they've left Egypt, and now they are on their way to the promised land of Israel. God promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And so they're on their way to the promised land, and for a while they're going to be wandering in the wilderness, kind of there, Sinai and kind of southwest corner there of the Levant. And so they're wandering in the wilderness, and they're going to end up wandering for quite a while because of reasons. We'll get to that later in Numbers. But here at the beginning of Numbers, there's a lot of kind of regulations about how the tabernacle worship is going to be structured. And so this is part of that. This is the blessing that has been given for Aaron and his sons to speak over the people. So that's kind of what's going on right now. So God is giving them the instructions for how they're going to worship, and this is part of this. So let's see, chapter 6, verse 22, and we'll go through 27. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, Thus you shall bless the people of Israel. You shall say to them, The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. So they shall put my name upon the people of Israel, and I will bless them." So what's happening here is Yahweh is telling Moses to tell Aaron that this is the blessing that they're going to say to people. This is what they've been given to say specifically. And so in our tradition, we have continued to use this blessing. So initially, though, it was given for the Old Testament worship in the tabernacle, and then later in the temple as well. That's kind of where it has its origin and foundation. I think verse 27 is really interesting. So shall they, that is Aaron and his sons, so shall they put my name upon the people of Israel, and I will bless them. So in putting this blessing on the people are receiving the name of Yahweh on them. So this is just like how we talk about at baptism. The name of the triune God has been placed on us. So this is why the invocation, the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, we make the sign of the cross. Just as that sign of the cross was made over us in our baptism. And so there's this, it's like God's people are marked with his name. And so he covered with his righteousness like a wood peg. And so you see that here, kind of in its own way in this Old Testament context. And then also notice second half of that verse, so shall they put my name upon the people of Israel, and I will bless them. So who is ultimately doing the blessing? God. God is doing the blessing. But who's actually saying the blessing? Aaron's sons, the priests. So the priests are standing instead of Yahweh, and they're speaking this blessing on his behalf. But it counts as God's blessing. This is what God does all the time. He works through human agents to do his work. He's a God who uses means. He uses people. That shows the best idea, but he decided to do it that way. So that's what's happening there. Any questions about that, the narrative concept right there? It's kind of this brief snippet that we move on to talking about the consecration of the tabernacle and such. All right, let's look at the text itself. So we're going to take each of those 6 parts by itself. So I'm calling 1A the first part of line 1, 1B the second part of line 1, just so we can find a way along. So 1A, bless. The Lord bless you. I think the word bless in English has a uniquely and exclusively religious connotation. I don't think we use bless in kind of day-to-day life really, unless we're talking about religious or churchy things. But bless, at least in the Old Testament, it doesn't necessarily have that connotation. It's not exclusively a religious or churchy term. So bless just means to kind of verbally wish or hope for the good of another. So the opposite of a blessing is a curse. So a curse would be where you wish for the bad of another. So a bless is the opposite of a curse. So you find this all across the Old Testament. Somebody will meet somebody and they will bless them. When we say good morning, that's effectively a kind of blessing. We wouldn't call it that, but it functions as a blessing. You're wishing that they have a good morning or something like that. We'll talk about it later. So that's what blessed means. And of course, the difference between our blessings and God's blessing is that our words don't necessarily have the power to actually enact the good of another. Like I can bless you and say have a good morning, but that doesn't mean you're gonna have a good morning, necessarily. But God's blessings actually have the power to make it so. So that's an important difference between God's blessings that He blesses and our blessings. So that's 1A. 1B, so it would bless you and keep you. So keep here means to guard or protect against enemies or afflictions, where there's shamar. So here's an example of that being used here in Joshua. For it is the Lord our God who brought us and our fathers up from the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, who did those great signs in our sight and preserved, shamar, us in all the way that we went, and among all the peoples through whom we passed. So if you remember your story, the story of the wandering in the wilderness, God preserved, kept, guarded His people by giving them food, water, when the snakes came and bit them, He healed them of that poison. He made sure their clothes didn't wear out. He gave them victory over the tribes who wanted to kill them and destroy them. And so these are all the ways that God guards, He protects His people. So that's kind of what we have in mind here when it says keep. That's 1B. So we got bless, keep. Now the second line, make His face shine. Naturally a metaphor. God's face isn't glowing like a neon sign. But this basically means to show favor or delight, or ultimately to bless. It means the same thing. Here's a great example of this being used of someone other than God. This idiom in Ecclesiastes, who is like the wise man, who knows the interpretation of the thing. A man's wisdom makes his face shine, and the hardness of his face is changed. So basically, the man's wisdom makes his face shine means that man's wisdom makes him happy. His face lights up. We kind of will sometimes talk like this a little bit. So to say that God's face is going to shine on you is to say that He is going to look on you with delight, with favor. He's not going to look at you with a scowl, but his face will shine when He looks at you. It's a metaphor, but that's the idea. God looks upon you with favor, and ultimately that means that He would bless you. So that's make His face shine on you. Oh, here's another example of that. Psalm 4. There are many who say, "Who will show us some good? Lift up the light of your face upon us, O Lord." So here, Yahweh lifting up the light of His face is parallel with God showing His people good. So for God to make His face shine on you is the same thing as saying that He will show you good, which is exactly what blessing is about. That's 2A. 2B, be gracious to you. So be gracious means to show mercy or favor. Here's an example from 2 Kings, your second Kings book. Now Hazael, king of Syria, oppressed Israel all the days of Jehoahaz. But the Lord was gracious to them and had compassion. And He turned toward them because of the covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and would not destroy them, nor has He cast them from His presence until now. So to be gracious is to show mercy. So God didn't let Israel, at this point in the story, he didn't let them be destroyed by their enemies. He favored them. So that's what be gracious means here. So we got bless you, keep you, make his face shine on you, be gracious to you. Now lift up his countenance upon you. That's fun. So countenance just means face. We use the word countenance because you use big words in church. And so this, you might find this part boring, so that you can tune me out. But I was curious as to why it uses face in line 2 and then countenance in line 3. Because in Hebrew it's the same word, it's just face both times. It's like why in the ESV? Because the version of the text we use in the divine service is just straight from the ESV. So why in the ESV do we have face in one verse and then countenance? This word that we never use. I never say countenance. I wouldn't know what it meant if it wasn't in this context. So why do we have the two? And because in the Hebrew, it's the same word, so face. And in the Old Greek translation of the Old Testament, the Septuagint, that means easier, it's the same word, just face both times. So I was really confused. And I looked, KJV has face and countenance, so I'm like, okay, ESV is just following the KJV. And I found in the Vulgate, Vulgate is the Latin translation of the Bible made by Jerome, about 6, 7, 5, 4, some of it, a very long time ago. So this was the foundational translation of the Bible used in the West when everybody spoke Latin. And so they used 2 different words for face there. And so I assumed the KJV kind of just followed that and used 2 different English words for face to reflect that. Probably because this text was used in their liturgy. So they kind of wanted to keep and preserve that. I'm assuming that's what happened. So yeah, fun facts. Some of the parties. So 3a, lift up his countenance or his face. This means to honor, to accept, to show favor to. So if we look at Psalm 4:6, quoted above, we have this idiom here as well. Who will show us some good? Lift up the light of your face upon us, O Lord. This is kind of cool because they're kind of mixing the make his face shine and lifting up his face, kind of mixing those together like a Bible blender there. And so the idea often, this idiom of like lifting up the face is used a lot in the Old Testament. And a lot of times it's used of an ashamed person lifting up their face or having their face lifted up. So one of the psalmists who has sinned, they might talk about Yahweh lifting up their face. So Yahweh showing them honor. Other places, someone who has sinned or done something shameful against another person might say something like, "How can I lift up my face to them?" The idea is your shamed face is down. And so here, the idea is not that Yahweh is ashamed that he would lift his face up to you, but that Yahweh is going to give you the honor of lifting his face to you. In English, we might say something like that. He's going to look you in the eye. That's the idea. He's going to show you this honor, show you this favor, lifting his face to you. So that's kind of what that idiom means. So lift his face to you, and then finally 3b, give you peace. So peace here means to give prosperity, tranquility, flourishing. Hebrew word there is shalom. And shalom means it's not merely lacking violence. Like I think in English, the word peace generally means just an absence of violence or warfare. But in Hebrew, the word shalom, it means not just a lack of something, but also everything that happens when there is that lack of violence and warfare. So when there isn't warfare going on, a nation experiences prosperity and flourishing because you're not dying in war. And so shalom then refers to all of that flourishing that happens when there is peace, when there is a lack of warfare. And so this is also used in some contexts, it'll mean just welfare. So like here, Genesis 43, this is Joshua. So Joshua was sold into slavery in Egypt by his brothers. And then eventually they come back because there was a famine, he's in charge now. So his brothers don't know this is Joshua, but so he's going to ask them, is dad doing well? And so he, Joshua, inquired about their welfare, shalom. And he said, is your father well? Is your father shalom? The old man of whom you spoke, is he still alive? And so this is how they would ask, like, are you well? They say, are you shalom? So it's not just lack of violence. Yahweh give you a lack of violence, but it's Yahweh help you to flourish and to prosper. So it's a very rich, rich word there. And so maybe you've kind of been able to see as we've walked through each 6 parts of these, it's basically just 6 ways of saying the same thing. Like it's not like these are like this is not a list article on BuzzFeed, like the 6 different things that God is going to bless you with. That's kind of that's how we would do it. Like these are 6 distinct things. But they just list kind of 6 kind of parallel ways that God is going to bless his people. And they're all, some of them are kind of different, there's a little emphasis difference in one or the other. But it's basically 6 ways of saying the same thing. It's like 6 different angles on God's blessing of his people. And so when we hear the benediction, I think we can hear it that way. This is just kind of 6 different angles on talking about how God blesses his people. And they're all ultimately talking about the same thing, but just different angles on the same thing, because that's how rich and multifaceted God's blessing is of his people. This is how Hebrew poetry works a lot. So hopefully you've been able to see that. So before we move on to the benediction and the divine service, I should ask, when do we end?
10:30.
10:30.
Or even our commentary.
That's good. So any questions on the text of the benediction, like what it actually means? Yeah.
I was just thinking that the words are really repetitive. That's a sign of the teacher. So, God's a good teacher.
Yes. Yeah, and this is how they think. This is how they write. They love to say the same thing over and over. We don't like that in English. Like they'll say stuff like and he laughed a great laugh. We don't say that. Like if you wrote that for writing people, you say change that. That's dumb. They love to do that. Or he feared a great fear. They love that repetition. Yeah. It is. Yeah, and these would have been texts that they would have heard. They wouldn't have had their own copy at home that they could read. They would hear it. Yeah.
Sometimes I've heard it said where people say, "May the Lord bless you." Is that? And then other people say just "the Lord bless you" as it's a imperative, or I don't know the right way to say it.
It's just different ways of constructing that construction in English. The Lord bless you. I think that's a more archaic construction. We'll get this in a second. Like in the Benediction, let's just say, "Blessed be the Lord." Like we would say, "Let's bless the Lord." That's how we would say that in like our English. But it's more of an archaic way of saying the Lord bless you. Because if that was a normal sentence, we would say the Lord blesses you. But we're not just saying this is a thing the Lord is doing, but it's a blessing. May the Lord bless you. How we would say that in modern English. So it's just an older construction, I think. Yeah.
In my head, when I hear someone wishing me peace, I hear the name Jesus.
Yeah.
That just it's scripture.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I mean, I'm thinking immediately of, after the consecration of the sacrament, it's lifted up, and the peace of the Lord be with you. You're looking at him, right there. I don't think they're saying Yahweh give you peace means Yahweh give you the Messiah. But I think that's a reasonable kind of connection to make in your brain. And ultimately, Yahweh giving his people flourishing and peace, we receive that through Jesus. So it's not necessarily being immediately referred to in the text, but in the big picture, that is how he does it. That is how he gives us all of these blessings, is through Jesus, who is the Prince of Peace. Hopefully that answers your question.
They were grumbling a lot.
Oh yeah. They did a little bit of grumbling.
So
getting a blessing is kind of nice.
Yeah, this is what God does in the Old Testament. Everyone thinks that the Old Testament God is like a lot meaner, and it is. Old Testament is a slightly stabbier testament than the New Testament. But this is, I mean, the Old Testament is a story about Yahweh's people being unfaithful and Yahweh being faithful, and it's just that pattern repeated over and over and over and over and over again. Yahweh. Never going to give you up, never going to let you down. Never going to run around you. That is Yahweh. He is the perfect Rick Astley. It's story of the Old Testament.
It's entirely possible for the children to get this also, because when my son was 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, we would read his little Bible every night at bedtime.
Yeah.
And as we progressed through the stories, he very clearly would say, "Not again."
Oh no, yeah. Oh yeah. Kids can get this definitely, and it's because it's culture there, and it's oh man. I listened to Judges recently, and Judges is exactly that. It's just this spiral of Yahweh being faithful, saving them, and then they get complacent, and then they start worshiping the idols, and then he hands them over to the Philistines or whoever, and then they come back. It's just this cycle again and again. It's kind of a message. Yeah. Good. So let's talk about the benediction of the divine service. So as you probably know, the benediction comes at the very, very end. So we've just done the service of sacrament. We've had the prayer of thanksgiving, and then we have the benediction. So right before the benediction in most of the settings in the hymnal, we have what's called the Benedictamus. Benedictamus is Latin for we bless. And so it goes, blessed be the Lord, and then the people respond, thanks be to God. So sometimes people think this is a little weird, like why are we blessing God? Isn't God the one who blesses? This is strange. But this is actually a really normal way of talking in the scriptures. So here's an example from Psalm 135. Blessed be the Lord from Zion, who dwells in Jerusalem. Praise the Lord. And so to bless God is basically another way of saying praise God or thank God. And so when we talk about blessing the Lord, we're not like kind of usurping God's authority to bless or something like that. But we are responding to God in praise and thanksgiving. That's basically what we mean when we say bless the Lord. So we're going to look at the comments, and then we go into the benediction, which we just talked about that. And the benediction, like we talked about before, it parallels the invocation. So the service is kind of bookended with these blessings. So we begin with the blessing of the name of the Triune God, remember for our baptism, and then we close with the Aaronic benediction here from Numbers. So the whole service is bookended with blessing. And of course, in the middle, there's blessing. It's blessing all the way through. But this is very intentional that we would kind of begin with the name of the Triune God and end with this blessing. I think it's really interesting, and kind of looking at this. So, like we talked about verse 27 of chapter 6 in Numbers, talks about that in giving this blessing, the priests are putting the name of Yahweh on the people. Which is, of course, exactly what we did in the invocation. So, in a real way, like we are beginning the ending with the name of God being placed upon us, and that bookends the entire service. So, just structurally, that's the big picture. So, the benediction, though, is not the only blessing in the service. It's probably the most prominent one, but the divine service is full of blessings. Can anybody think of some other places where there are some blessings, things that act as blessings in the divine service? A handful. Lord's Supper? Yeah. So when each rail is dismissed, we're closed with a blessing. Exactly. That's one.
When we sing "Create in Me a Clean Heart," we're asking for the Lord's blessing.
Yeah, we're asking for God's blessings. Yeah, that's right. Any other ones you can think of? Yeah, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, at baptism, yeah, there is a blessing there. Yeah. We've also got the absolution is a kind of a specialized blessing as well. The salutation, so the Lord be with you and with thy spirit. That's a blessing. It's kind of a calm response, a blessing. The close of the sermon is often a blessing there. And the peace of God, which passes all understanding, keep your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus our Lord. There's another one there. Yeah, Dominus is a blessing. The peace of the Lord be with you. That's a blessing there. So it's just filled with these words from the passage that act as a blessing. These blessings are made instead of Christ. So Jesus blesses us throughout the service, through all of this.
That makes me think of churches that don't do that. That don't have a benediction. They don't have the blessings in a sense. They praise God a lot,
Yeah,
which is good, but they're not really receiving the blessing that the divine service gives.
yeah. It often becomes just a couple of praise songs and a Bible TED talks. I love praising God and I love Bible TED talks, but there's more to that, which is
It's just that they're missing stuff. That's more than,
exactly.
you know.
So there's a fullness.
If they don't believe that God through the pastor's mouth is blessing them, like when God puts his name on the child in baptism, when the pastor is preaching, God's blessing the people with his word.
Yes.
But a lot of people just think it's some guy up there giving motivational speech.
Yes. Yeah, it's all
So there's
just
missing.
between me and God personally, as an individual, which is just not how the scriptures think about it at all. Yeah, there's a lot there. We'll keep going. So I just want to talk a little bit about what is a blessing. So we kind of define the word, and kind of how does this function as speech? Because it's not quite as straightforward as you might think. And so I've got a passage from The Hobbit that kind of illustrates this. So good morning is a kind of blessing. And so here, Gandalf, the wizard, gets seemingly confused by Bilbo's wish for good morning. So good morning, said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining, the grass was very green, but Gandalf looked at him from under long, bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shady hat. What do you mean, he said. Do you wish me a good morning, or mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not, or that you feel good this morning, or that it is a morning to be good on? All of them at once, said Bilbo. And a very fine morning for a pipe of tobacco out of doors into the garden. And then later, good morning, Bilbo said at last. We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill or across the water. By this minute, the conversation was at an end. What a lot of things you do use good morning for, said Gandalf. Now you mean that you want to get rid of me and that it won't be good till I move off. So, good morning. A very simple thing, probably say it every day. But it's kind of complicated. Thinking like, what do you actually say? We only think about language as communicating information. Like I have, bytes of information in my brain, and I'm putting them into your brain through these mouth sounds that I'm making. But language is a lot more than that. Language is not just like imparting information from one brain to another brain, but language is about doing things. So words are actions. And so an example would be like a command is an action. If you tell your child to clean your room, you're not just saying like, hey, it would be a good idea if you cleaned your room, like just information. But no, you're doing something. You're commanding them.
That's the way they hear it.
Or a promise. You're doing something. I forgive you. It's not just communicating like forgiveness is a thing and God forgives you, just like as information, but the words do it. There's an action that's happening through the words. And so a blessing is that as well. It is doing something. So like, have a good day is an example of a blessing. And so it's not a command, have a good day. It's structured as an imperative, grammatically. But it doesn't function as a command. Like if you told your kid, have a good day, and then they came home and you asked them, so did you have a good day? You'd say no. So you wouldn't say, well, why did you disobey me? Like it's not a command. It's not have a good day or else. It's not.
It's hopeful.
And it's not merely just expressing like a hope or a wish. Like if you just said, I hope you have a good day, you'd be like, well, thanks, I guess, kind of weird. But it's more than that. It's more than, it's not a command, and it's more than just expressing a hope, but it's actually doing something. The idea is almost that, like, through my words, I can almost enact or contribute you to having as if my words have the power to do that. That's the idea behind a blessing, the way it functions as an action. And of course, the difference, like we said, between God's blessing and our blessing is that God's words actually have the power to make it so. So in Genesis, God says, "Let there be light," and light was. God's words make it happen. When Jesus says, "This is my body, this is my blood," it's the body and it's his blood. His words make it happen. When you receive the absolution, you are forgiven. You're forgiven. The words of Jesus make it so. And so when God blesses us with, whether that's the words of the benediction or in general, God's blessing has the power to make it so. This isn't just God saying, like, "Oh, hope you have a good day." But his words actually cause it to happen in a very real way. Questions on that? What a blessing it is.
It just made me think of when people say have a good day, and I sometimes respond snarkily
Yeah.
and say, well, I had one yesterday, you have one today.
There you go. Straight up.
Well, this just reminds me of what you mentioned earlier, the difference between may the Lord bless you and the Lord bless you. We're putting it out there like, maybe people bless you, may it happen.
Yeah.
When actually the Lord says, the Lord bless you. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Even though you're unfaithful to me most of the time.
Yeah.
Bless you. So that's why the may is not really a good idea.
Well, we shouldn't hear. I think it means we shouldn't hear the "may" as expressing doubt. Like if we said maybe the Lord will bless you, like that would be bad. But may the Lord bless you is expressing that same idea. And there is no doubt. So however we hear that, we shouldn't hear it as if it's saying that there is any doubt. Same thing like you made the remark about that we might be saved, and it's using might in a different way because sometimes we say might like, oh, I might do that, I might not, I probably won't, and then we can use it like so that something, so that we might be saved. That's it. That's a subjunctive for you grammar students.
Should we be bold enough to say, the Lord will bless you?
And that would be saying the same thing. What? It is. Any other questions on the benediction so far or blessings?
The language has changed somewhat over the years, and even as short a time ago as the 70s, when I was a teenager, it was more likely for somebody to say, have a blessed day, than today. Most people just say, have a good day, which is still, you could take it as the same thing, but it's a little more generic. Anybody could say have a good day.
Yeah.
But if you say, have a blessed day, that's different.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and it's just I think that switch from have a blessed day to have a good day is just an example of larger phenomena that have happened in our society. Phenomena that we shouldn't think that we're immune to. Yeah. So let's we've been kind of going bigger and bigger picture. So we're going to go even bigger picture now. So let's look at kind of the way that blessing functions in the story of the whole scriptures. So there's a way in which we can see the entire story of the scriptures from beginning to end in terms of blessing. We often talk about it in terms of forgiveness of sin, which is certainly a very central concept. We can also talk about it in terms of blessing. So let's go first to Genesis 1, 26, 30. Start at the very beginning. Very good place to start. right, so context, God just created the world, and that's basically all that's happened so far. This is the beginning. So pretty easy. Genesis 1, starting at verse 26. Then God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created them, male and female, he created them. And God blessed them. God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every plant yielding seed that is on the face of all the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. You shall have them for food. To every beast of the earth, and to every bird of the heavens, to everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I have given every green plant for food. And it was so. So God creates the man and the woman, and he blesses them. And how specifically does he bless them? Name one. Here's some. Food, yeah, so he gives them every plant yielding seed that is on the face of the earth, and every tree with seed in its fruit. So he gives them all the plants to eat. How else does he bless them? Responsibility, yes. Yeah, that's a good way to put that, yeah. So to subdue the earth, to have dominion over the fish of the sea, and the birds of the heavens, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. Yeah, it's not just kind of have your way with it, but you have a responsibility to care for your garden of this creation. Yeah.
Their ability to be fruitful.
Yeah, their own being fruitful and multiplying is a blessing. He would bless them by having the ability to do this. Yeah, so these are all the ways that God blesses the first man and the first woman. He gives them food to eat. He gives them the authority to rule over creation in God's stead, and he gives them the ability to be fruitful, to multiply, and everything else. And he also blesses the rest of creation as well. That all of creation is given the ability to be fruitful and multiply. Because he tells the birds, the fish, and the creeping crawlies of the land also be fruitful and multiply. This is a blessing over all of creation, and the man and the woman have their place as the image of God to the rest of creation. So this is kind of how things start out. It's pretty cool, and it's characterized by this blessing of God. God blesses them, and this is going to make it fruitful. It's going to make creation and these human creatures flourish and be successful. And of course, as you know, this goes south pretty quickly. And then we won't read it, but then in Genesis 3, instead of blessings, now they're given curses. And so now instead of the ground being fruitful, it's now going to require a lot of hard work between thistle and thorn. Instead of easily being fruitful and multiply, it's going to be a painful and arduous task. And not just the giving birth, but also the raising of the kids, so here. And so what they were given as blessing now is now curse. It doesn't mean that there isn't flourishing or prosperity to be had, but it is severely limited and hampered. It is not what it's supposed to be. And so that's kind of where we are at the beginning. And it doesn't take too long for God to do something about fixing this. So that takes us to Genesis 12. Genesis chapter 12, we'll look at verses 1 through 3. This is the call of Abraham. Now the Lord said to Abram, go from your country and your kindred and your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation. I will bless you, and make your name great so that you will be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So when God calls Abraham, the language there used is not necessarily about like sin or forgiveness of sin, although that's there in the background as well. But the language is used of blessing. So first we have, verse 2, I will bless you, make your name great. You yourself will become a blessing. And he's going to bless those who bless him, curse those who curse him. And then this part at the end is really critical. In you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. This call of Abraham is not just about Abraham, or Abram, as his name is now. It's not just about Abraham. This is not God really likes Abraham, and so he's going to show Abraham some special favor. But he is choosing Abraham for a purpose, so that through Abraham's family, through Abraham's offspring, all the nations of the earth might be blessed. That's the idea. This is about restoring the blessing that was given to all of humanity back in Genesis 1. And it's now going to be restored through the offspring of Abraham. Somehow. I don't know full how, but we have that promise of the restoration of that blessing. So we'll fast forward through quite a bit. Skip to Galatians. Galatians chapter 3. And so here Paul is going to talk about the fulfillment of this promise of blessing given to Abraham from the beginning. That this isn't a blessing just for Abraham's family, the ancient people of God, Israel, but this is ultimately a blessing for all of the nations, including the Gentiles, which is kind of a critical point in Galatians. Galatians chapter 3, start at verse 7. Know then, that it is those of faith who are the sons of Abraham. And the scripture, foreseeing that God would justify the Gentiles by faith, preached the gospel beforehand to Abraham, saying, In you shall all the nations be blessed. So then those who are of faith are blessed along with Abraham, the man of faith. For all who rely on works of the law are under a curse. For it is written, Cursed be everyone who does not abide by all things written in the law and do them. Now it is evident that no one is justified before God by the law, for the righteous shall live by faith. The law is not of faith, rather the one who does them shall live by them. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law by becoming cursed for us. For it is written, Cursed is everyone who is hanged on a tree. So that in Christ Jesus the blessing of Abraham might come to the Gentiles, so that we might receive the promised Spirit through faith. Elsewhere in Galatians, Paul makes the point that the offspring, talked about in Genesis, the offspring that is through which all the nations of the earth will be blessed is Jesus, specifically. It is a singular offspring, and that is Jesus. And so, I just love how we kind of played these themes of cursing and blessing. So the curse that was received by Adam and Eve is now placed on Jesus. That curse that is preventing creation from doing what it's supposed to, that curse that is preventing human beings from being the creatures that God has made us to be, Jesus now takes that curse. And he takes that curse that humanity has been given, and now Jesus kind of restarts humanity. There is a new humanity, humanity 2.0. And now we receive this blessing, this new blessing of Jesus. And so so we receive this blessing obviously through absolution, through baptism, through the sacrament of the altar, all of this stuff. But ultimately, we're waiting for this blessing to be fulfilled in new creation, in the new earth. That the blessing given to Adam and Eve in Genesis 1 is a blessing about flourishing in the garden, in good creation that God made. And so our ultimate hope, the final restoration of all of this, is in the new creation. So we have this blessing now, fully. Your sins are forgiven. We're given this promise. But also, we're waiting. We're waiting for that full fulfillment, that things would be the way God meant it to be in the first place. It's clear as many blessings as we receive from God daily, things are not the way they're supposed to be. They're not. We do receive those blessings, but it's still not the way it's supposed to be. And so, kind of looking at the story of the scriptures in terms of blessing, I think, helps us to see that. We receive it now, but also we're waiting. There's more yet to come when Jesus returns and when he creates the new heavens and the new earth. So, questions, thoughts, opinions, others? Yeah, there's a piece in knowing that it's in Jesus, everything's going to be okay. Like our gospel reading talks about, you are now right before God. You don't have to worry about kind of God being mad at you because of your sins, because you don't have to do nothing. There's peace, there's tranquility. Very cool. Anything else?
I just think it's great how we're blessed by being able to look backwards from the New Testament to the Old Testament and see that when Abraham was receiving that blessing, he was really being promised that through him, through his line, all the way to the cross, you know, the world would have this peace.
Yeah, it's so much richer when we kind of understand the background of all this. The New Testament is just really this commentary on the Old Testament. Yeah. Well, thank you all for having me here. It's been great to be here. I'll keep on the prayers as I am in England.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Well done.
That was a good class, wasn't it? You may have heard me chime up once or twice in the class. But anyway, I hope you got something out of it. I thought it was very key where he talked about how... Sorry, I had a ant bite. Do you see the dog back there? She's hiding, actually. I liked how we tied it to just saying... what did he say here? Let's see. Just saying good morning. The story of the Bilbo... I'm going to read it to you in case you just tuned in here at the end and weren't really listening during the lesson. This is a bit of audio, not audio. Audio? Do books have audio? Well, they do if they're books on tape. This isn't really that. This is something that was from Lord of the Rings. It may have been in the movie, but certainly was in the book, where he said, good morning, said Bilbo, and he meant it. The sun was shining and the grass was very green, but Gandalf looked at him from under long bushy eyebrows that stuck out further than the brim of his shady hat. What do you mean, he said. Do you wish me a good morning? Or mean that it is a good morning, whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good this morning? Or that it is morning to be it is a morning to be good on? All of them at once? Said Bilbo. And a very fine morning for a pipe of tobacco out of doors? Into the bargain? Then he skipped down. He says, good morning, he said at last. We don't want any adventures here, thank you. You might try over the hill or across the water. By this he meant that the conversation was at an end. What a lot of things you use good morning for, said Gandalf. Now you mean that you want to get rid of me, and that it won't be good till I move off. It's very well written stuff, isn't it? And of course very well performed in the movies. But if you think about it, we use words for a lot of different meanings. And the nice thing is that, is it a nice thing? I think it is a nice thing. When you say good morning to someone, most of the time you're blessing them. Good morning as you walk into the office. Good morning to your husband or wife or your children. You're saying a blessing to them. Now, hopefully you don't mean good morning when you say good morning to your spouse and you're wishing that they would hurry off to work. That wouldn't be very nice. But you can say, have a good morning when they're leaving. Have a good morning. There she is. Have a good morning. Say hi, Indy. Hi. Have a good morning at work. Say good morning to all the people at work. Have a blessed day is what we used to say. That's what I used to say when I was younger. Have a blessed day. Didn't even think about it. Didn't wonder if anybody'd be offended by it. Just have a blessed day. Now, it's, hey, how you doing? And most people are like, fine. You know, our conversations have changed and we need to regain some of that stuff. But that's a conversation for another day in the cafe. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed that video. Like and subscribe, follow, whatever those other things are that people do, particularly if you're watching on Facebook. Find your way, like it on Facebook, share it with friends if you can, but find your way over to the YouTube channel, the Café Sola YouTube channel, or I'm working on a Café Sola website so that if YouTube ever gets crazy, it'll still be available somewhere. And subscribe, hit the notification bell, so when I do post another video, you'll get a notification. And one of the things that I wanted to remind you of is I know I've told you that Pastor Wolfmiller has American Christianity Failed Bible class, audio and video, some slides and stuff. Will be coming soon. Well, I'm just waiting on an intro video for that so that I can start publishing. I've got a few of them edited down, and not to take out any content, of course, but to just make sure that the best is there for you to be able to hear and enjoy. So stay tuned. That'll be coming soon. It's just going to take a few more weeks maybe for me to get the audio and get those packaged up and start the process of getting those out. And then they'll be fairly regular, hopefully every week, if my schedule allows for that. But we do have a son who's now engaged. The son, if many of you have been following, I don't know, he had the son who in 2015, I guess it was diagnosed with cancer, and he's cancer-free at the moment, praise God, and will remain cancer-free as far as the doctors are concerned. So we're grateful for that. We can't be more grateful, I don't think. Maybe we can. We should think about that. But anyway, so he is engaged now, and so this next year will be a little bit preoccupied, but I'm going to do my best once a week to make sure I get some audio prepared and put out of those Bible classes so that you can have them every week to listen to, or you can binge watch them or binge listen. Binge listening? Yeah, binge listening to them later. That would be okay too, right? Yeah, except they're probably on the average about an hour, maybe a little bit longer. So they're good. They're good. You should watch them. You should listen to them. But binge watching, that would be like binge listening to Table Talk Radio or something like that. It's like, maybe good or bad? Don't know. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little quick video on this Bible class that was on the Benediction, and we will talk to you next time we see you in the cafe. Have a good day. God's blessings.